Greetings, my friends. We are all interested in the future of this episode, for that is where we are going to spend the next few hours of our lives. And remember, my friends, that future episodes such as these will affect you in the future. You are interested in the movies, the bad, the unexplainable. That is why you are here. And now, for the first time, we are bringing to you the almost full story of what happened on that fateful day of recording. We are giving to you all of the blunders, all of the mess-ups, and all of the confusion, based only on the recorded testimony of the tired and miserable souls who survived this terrifying ordeal. The screw-ups, the out-of-order sequences, we can't keep it a secret any longer. Let us punish the guilty hosts. Let us reward the innocent slips. My friend, can your heart stand a shocking recording about Plan 9 from outer space?
You're in the middle of the road, jackass!
Can you tell me where cornbread is? Turkey!
Turkey, so close to Thanksgiving.
You have to fix me.
I have to fix you?
Yeah, you have to edit me out. Edit that out. I can't even say grave digging. Edit all this out.
Hey, but let me ask you something there, Joe. Hey, can I ask you something?
Yeah, sure.
That broad that's coming over there in the darkness part of the land here. You know, we're over here in the sunlight. The person over there in the darkness, isn't that the broad we just dug up and put in the hole? Did we just fill that hole in with that broad in there? Isn't that guy crying over there? Wasn't that his wife?
Yes,
How the hell did you get out of the hole just seconds ago? I don't understand. We're right here at the hole.
I do believe that is her.
You know what? There's some crazy shit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Just Another Movie Nights Turkey Fest 2022. If Criswell was here right now, he would say, "My friends, welcome to the future." That means only one thing, guys. We're talking about...
We're here.
We're turkey? I said it again. We're talking about the number one turkey.
The number one turkey.
We're at the end of the month.
Number one.
November, and Turkey Fest is closing. And we only had one more pick, and it was Joe's.
I feel like all of them were mine, but...
And she picked...
Yes.
Something the lead actor called... If this director had $1 million, it still would have been a big piece of shit. It's also voted as one of the worst movies ever made. And in fact, the director was hailed as the worst director of all time. And we're talking about the epic Kelton trilogy masterpiece.
Scared? Well, why do I always get hooked up with these spook details? Monsters, graves, bodies. Oh, all right.
Detective Kelton, this is a trilogy. Yes. Plan 9 from outer space. That's right, my friends. Plan 9 from outer space. You know, Plan 9 from outer space, or AKA...
Grave Robbers from Outer Space.
Yeah, and the only reason it was called that is because he was trying to escape the people that he owed money to. He changed the name so they can put it out in the South. Very crazy.
Yeah, well...
So this is the Ed Wood masterpiece that you picked.
This is the Ed Wood masterpiece, and I'm sorry, okay? I don't care what anyone says. This movie is not the worst movie ever made. It is
Let's just go on record right now and just say, we love this movie.
We love this movie. And I am not going to tolerate any haters saying that this is the worst movie ever made. I am not going to tolerate it. This is the movie
that started the whole so bad it's good craze. Because when someone tells you that this is the worst movie ever made, and you go watch it, and it's this entertaining, it goes down in history as so bad it's good. This is a B-movie masterpiece.
It's amazing. I mean, look at the cast of characters that he chose to be in this film, okay? Just, first of all, we have...
When you say chose, you mean a whole bunch of friends that he gathered around and paid one actress $200.
Well, he had to pay Vampira.
Yeah, $200.
Mila Nurmi.
Nurmi.
But, I mean, look at he got Bela Lugosi. Okay.
Did not pick him for this movie. Actually filmed some Bela Lugosi footage and then made a whole movie around the footage that he had.
Yes. Well, he befriended Bela Lugosi and, then obviously things happened from there. But then he got Tor Johnson, a wrestling sensation at the time. And the guy cannot act. He can barely speak English.
I will go on record and say that most of these people cannot act.
How dare you?
I mean, come on. I love Detective Kelton more than anybody else.
Are you sure you mean that, Lieutenant?
But these people, oof.
Well,
every single one of these people was a luck-in. He is the king of guerrilla filmmaking. This guy, you got to give this guy all the credit for what he tried to do. He tried so hard to be a director, so hard to be a writer. He just wanted to make films, and he did it any way he could. Unfortunately, his motto was next movie, next movie, next movie. None of it was really taking his time. He knew that this was his masterpiece, and it is.
Yeah, he knew. I mean, if you look at Ed Wood's resume, I mean, there are some bad movies.
The Kelton trilogy is great.
Yeah.
Let's just face facts. The Kelton trilogy, which is Bride of the Monster and Night of the Ghoul, are so much fun. They're all so bad, but this is the best of the three.
I mean, yeah. First of all, we've seen movies by Ed Wood that are really bad. I mean, I understand why people were saying that he's like the worst director of all time.
I could see at the time people must have been like, look at this pile of crap. I mean, this movie is riddled with problems.
It is. I mean, you can't help but watch this movie and just laugh.
If you can't smile throughout this thing, there's something wrong with you.
There's something wrong with you, for sure. But, like, I mean, this movie is just such a classic in the fact that, like, if you are into cinema, movies at all, and especially if you watch B movies, this movie takes the cake. I mean, it is terrible acting. It is, I mean, terrible directing. I mean, it is.
The worst sets you've ever seen.
The worst, like, bubblegum plastic crap sets you've ever seen. But it's so comical that you can't help but to fall in love with it.
Agreed.
And, it's just...
Well,
You wonder what his choices, why he made these choices, but then you know why he made these choices. Because he really tried. He did. He tried.
He was rushing through. He wanted to get this out because the backers gave him money. He had an idea. He rushed it into production as quick as he could because he was doing it as guerrilla as you can get it. He was doing it on the fly, quick, trying to escape permits, breaking into sets.
He was breaking into the studio to take props and things that he needed for his movies. So that's a crime.
Using the same shower curtain in every scene that he could. This guy went for it.
He was, okay. Yeah, well, all right.
Let me add real fast, though, before we start talking. Yeah. How many times do you think you've seen this film?
Oh, my God. I want to say I've seen it in reality at least 20 times.
And I don't know, when was the first time you really understood that this was a thing and you watched it?
I think when the first time I actually discovered this movie was when I saw the movie Ed Wood, with Johnny Depp, Tim Burton, and then I realized, oh my God, because that was back in like '94, I want to say that movie came out, and then when I saw that these movies were real, like these were real movies, this is based on this guy's life, I got really intrigued.
And you saw it way later. You didn't see Ed Wood in the theater.
No, I didn't see it in the theater. No, I didn't. I saw it later on, and I fell madly in love with it. I fell madly in love with the movie Ed Wood. I'm kind of obsessed with it. It's like one of my top 5 movies of all time. I love it. I love it. It is such a great movie.
Yeah, I actually had seen this movie by accident. Surprisingly so. I loved in the 90s, Tim Burton was the guy. Johnny Depp was the guy. And I would see anything. But I had seen Plan 9 from Outer Space accidentally on one of those late night cheese fests. Probably Up All Night on I can't really remember when.
Oh,
where it
with
was.
Rhonda Shear.
The other one.
I thought Rhonda Shear was the only Up All Night person.
I thought there was another person, but maybe I'm wrong. So yeah, I think it might have seen it on Up All Night, one of those channels. I feel like I must have maybe seen it with Elvira.
Oh.
I don't really know, but I saw this movie really young, and when the Tim Burton movie came out, I ran to it because I was obsessed with Johnny Depp and Tim Burton. And I ran to this movie. It made me fall in love all over again with all of this. Because it just so celebrated this guy who tried. And at the time, I had the video camera and I was trying to make little videos. And you just I fell in love. I also think this is not only the Tim Burton, Ed Wood movie. I hold it as one of the best movies ever made. I know it's really high to me. So, and I also think it's
right,
Johnny
and you
Depp's.
said that it was you said stop it when I said this is in my top 5.
Oh, I
This
thought
is-
you meant the actual Ed Wood movie that we just were talking about
no,
today.
Ed Wood
Oh,
by
but
Tim
Burton's
Burton.
Ed Wood.
Yes,
Okay.
it's always been one of my favorite movies.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the other
Yeah.
way around.
No.
That's why I said stop. Please stop.
No, not Plan 9.
Yeah, Johnny. I think it's Johnny Depp's masterpiece. I think
is.
it's Tim Burton's masterpiece. Martin Landau, incredible. It's a classic, and it made me fall in love with this all over again. And luckily, I had a friend who had an Angora sweater box set with all of Ed Wood's movies on VHS.
I think that's worth a ton of money.
I
now.
wish I had it. I'm so jealous that they had that, and it was a thing that existed.
Yeah.
I love this, and so yeah, I didn't know if I had watched it with you and made you watch all
I
of it
think
first.
that I did watch it with you first, but I think I saw it on Riff Tracks or Mystery
Well,
Science Theater.
That would have been with me. No, they never did it.
No, they didn't.
You know
Where
why?
did I
They-
see this then?
They never. I thought I showed you.
Maybe
I thought I
you
made.
did.
I said, well, you shared Witchboard with me. I had to share.
Oh, that's
something
right.
With
You know what? Yeah, I think I do. I have to credit you with this, with making me watch Plan 9, and you
So
made
this
me
is one
fall
of
in
the
love
best
with
movies.
it.
And
I
you
couldn't
have
believe
to
what I
see
was
Ed,
seeing.
Then you have to watch Plan 9 after watching Ed Wood.
Yes.
I think that's how we did that.
Yeah, so I watched Ed Wood, and then I was like, this can't be real. I have to see this movie. I have to. This can't be real.
Yeah.
And you said, all these movies are real. This is a real person. You know, it was before I knew a whole lot about, movies and movie making and all that stuff, like directors. And so, yeah, I fell in love with everything about Ed Wood. I thought he was brilliant in like a really odd way. And
It's just fascinating.
it's fascinating.
And Bela Lugosi.
Fucking
Of course,
Dracula.
Dracula.
I mean, come on. He played Dracula in 1931. Like,
I could talk.
I was involved. I was all in.
I could talk about Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein
Yeah.
all day long, being a fan of these characters from childhood for so long. So right off the bat, would you want to jump in, or you want to give a synopsis? I don't know if people need it
I mean,
because
okay. Well,
this is one of those movies that people know.
I feel like if you're listening to this, you downloaded it for a reason because you have seen Plan 9 and you probably hold it in high regard like we do, even though it is considered one of the worst movies ever made. To us, it's a gem. It's a diamond in the rough
It
to
is.
us. So this movie is
And not just to us, many
people. Many. There's a following for this movie and
Even
Ed Wood
Seinfeld.
in general, and
Yeah.
just
Even Seinfeld, there's an episode where he wanted to go see this in a movie there.
yeah. And Jerry says, I can't make bad commentary. I can't watch a bad movie, and make commentary by myself to strangers. I love that. I was like, wow, that hit me in my feels.
I was gonna say about Mr. Science Theater because you said that we see it. Did you see that? They didn't actually do this film because they thought there was too much dialogue,
Oh God.
and it couldn't fit their because usually they have to edit to make it shorter for television. There's nothing you can cut out because there's just dialogue. Some people might think there's too much.
I mean, it's.
Which
I don't
is
even
wild.
think about that because I'm so busy watching like the surroundings and like the actors and how ridiculous they are. Okay, so this movie, the synopsis is okay. So like, basically, aliens are trying to take over the Earth, but instead of like landing their ships and just like going into a firefight or something like that, they're resurrecting the dead to do their bidding. It is the oddest plot, but what ensues is just a bunch of funny aliens that are they look like humans.
They are humans.
They're humans. They're nothing. They're not like aliens at all. So you have the aliens, then you have the bumbling cops, which are the best I've ever seen on screen. And then you have the ghouls. So yeah, and then you have this one couple who one's an airline pilot and the other is just a woman who just faints at the sight of everything. So that's your group of people. And then you have two grave diggers who make their appearance and then dip.
What a synopsis you're giving.
That's really it. This movie, okay, I can't really give a synopsis on this because it doesn't even know what it is. It's just
I would say
aliens
invade the Earth and use the dead.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I just said that.
Well, you went into a grave diggers.
No, I didn't say grave diggers. I said grave diggers are in the movie. That's all. I'm telling you that there's ghouls, there's bumbling cops, there's a couple, there's an airline pilot.
He is the couple.
No, there's a girl.
Yeah, you said a couple.
Yeah, a couple.
A couple and the airline pilot. They're the same person.
Yeah, whatever. So, whatever. I don't know how to explain this movie.
There's
okay,
the military.
Like if you're listening to this, I know that you know what I'm talking about.
Solarmanite. Is that how you say it? Solarmanite.
Yes.
Solarmanite?
So bottom line is aliens are trying to take over the Earth, but they're resurrecting the dead, that's what's happening. Okay, so.
Jesus Christ, what a slop fest we're doing right now.
Well, if you can explain it better, sir, then you go on ahead.
I said aliens try to invade the Earth using the ninth plan in their attack by resurrecting the dead.
That's the ninth plan.
That's the plot.
Yes,
That's the synopsis.
Yes, so hence Plan 9 from outer space.
Let's just jump into this sucker, because this is Talking Trash, and this is what we do.
Talking trash.
So during Talking Trash, we dissect, we explain, and along the way we try to teach ourselves what the fuck is happening in this movie. And so
we
to
never
start
learn.
off, I always learn something.
And we've seen it like 28 times.
I've seen this so many times. I know so much trivia. I know way too much about this film. Let's just start off the bat. We open
with Criswell,
known psychic, or I don't know what you call him, fortune teller, basically fraud. It opens this movie by telling us that these are the true events. Yes, my friends, these are the true events. Let's celebrate the survivors of that fateful night. Let's tell the story of grave robbers from outer space. And then we get a opening, amazing music. Fun fact about the music right off the bat, has a killer, very memorable soundtrack. You cannot hear the soundtrack without knowing about it. You instantly think Plan 9 from outer space.
Yeah.
The funniest part about that is the music is all credited to one guy. That guy took sampled music and just stuck it in this movie from other people. For many, many years, nobody knew who did the soundtrack. Luckily, there's a bunch of great people out there, film people, who completely went into the vaults and found out who composed each thing. It's fantastic. So now there's like 10 credits on the music. Rightfully so, because the soundtrack is catchy as all hell. You agree?
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, okay. You were just like blanked out on me.
No, I love it. I think the soundtrack is great. It's
yeah.
it's very like on the edge of your seat.
So right off the bat, we're being told this is a true story. All right, and this is taken from the facts of the survivors and the people who witnessed the events.
Yes, it's taking place in Burbank, California.
So we get this opening music, and we have gravestones, like the whole cemetery. Basically all art paintings of cemetery with the names of the cast written across.
Yeah,
the
I love
cemetery.
that opening
Tombstones.
title card. I love it.
Lightning strikes, the music. It's fantastic. And we cut to... Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
Do we start off the bat with Bela Lugosi and then get it? No, we
No,
now
we
we
started
jump
off
into
with
Bela Lugosi.
No, it starts off with the airline pilots. So
No.
yeah.
No, it definitely starts with Bela Lugosi.
Well, he's at the funeral.
No, yes. That's why I was wondering if there was a title card and then Bella, or was
Yeah.
it Bella and then title cards?
No, it's the title card and then Bella, and then
yeah,
he's
Griswold.
mourning
Griswold's narrating.
Criswell.
What do I keep saying?
You're trying to say Griswold, like Clark Griswold. His name is Criswell.
Criswell?
Yes, Criswell.
How come you didn't tell me beforehand when I already did all this intro?
What? You didn't say it before.
Yeah, I did, because I said known fraud.
6.5 hours later.
So, Criswell. Criswell?
Yes. You have to do some editing.
Oh, this is going to be heavy editing. Criswell is narrating Bela Lugosi in full Dracula garb at a funeral, standing next to a man looking at a book. He's supposed to be a preacher, maybe, reading the book, but he never opens his mouth. He never moves.
No. But Criswell is narrating over this. But he does make note of saying this is a silent prayer.
Does he?
Yes! I told you that.
I thought you were joking.
No, he says this is over.
I've seen this so many times, I didn't even catch that.
Yes, silent prayer. So they're just standing around and he's looking at the book and just praying in silence. So there's that. Yeah, that's what's happening.
Well, fun fact about that, Criswell, he wrote his narration by himself because Ed Wood's narration that he wrote for him he said was trash and boring. So he threw it out and wrote all of this himself. So that's why he's probably doing the silent prayer joke, because the guy's not moving his mouth.
Right.
And he probably wrote that in to try to explain it away.
Another fun fact is so Bela Lugosi is in this movie and also says, also featuring Bela Lugosi. Ed Wood used footage of him that he shot for another film.
Well, he actually just took a camcorder out and just filmed him.
Yeah.
They just got a lot of footage of him, and then he passed away, and he wrote this movie so he could incorporate that footage, because he already had it.
He already had it. So
And also he told the backers, I have a celebrity.
Right. That's how he got funded, pretty much.
Well, yeah, which is, wow. What actually got them funded was that they got the money from a Baptist church who baptized them all.
They got baptized, including Vampire.
Yep. And Tor Johnson. Wild. Yep.
Oh my god, it was amazing.
So many of these people have disowned this film and don't want to talk about it. Before that, there's so many fun facts about each actor. So yeah, we're at a funeral and we're seeing this silent prayer, and Bella is crying, and the narration is really funny, and we get to see two gravediggers sitting there staring at the funeral, which is mind-boggling. Now, let me just say that this funeral is taking place in a dilapidated forest. It is crumbling. If these two gravediggers are waiting to fill it in, maybe they can cut some of the shrubbery. There's dead trees right next to them.
There's no indication that this is a cemetery at all.
It's wild. I think the shot with Bella is at a cemetery, but the shot of the two gravediggers is a whole nother
No, they're
set.
just sitting in the forest.
They're just sitting in the woods.
it's
And
like
they
different-
look like two Scottish stereotypes like you've seen in every gravedigger thing in like the haunted cemetery in foreign places like the UK or something.
They
don't look like they're in California.
No, they don't look like they're in
They
California
got
at
scarves, full hats, the whole jacket.
all. Oh yeah,
like they're cold.
Yeah,
like
they're covered
freezing.
head to toe.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So, yeah. So after the funeral, everyone walks away, and the gravedigger's like, "Oh, okay, let's
Yeah,
go
it's
do
time
our
to fill it
job." And then we cut to the airline pilots. Yes,
Nope.
we do.
No, we actually get the gravediggers murdered.
Yes, you are correct.
Yes, the gravediggers go to fill in the hole. They basically see Bella crying, and the gravediggers are like, "Okay, time to fill it in. The husband's right there." They go to fill it in, and then they cut away, and we hear, and they're like, "What the hell is that?" And then we see a shot of nighttime in a fake cemetery set.
But it was just daytime.
When they cut back to the gravediggers, they're in the daytime. When they cut back to what they're seeing, it's nighttime. We get a woman who is just Vampira.
Yeah.
The actress Vampira who hosted television show just like Elvira later on, who they had a big lawsuit against each other. Well, she had a lawsuit against her, kind of rightfully so. She showed movies and was a host of movies just like Elvira became later on. She just walks out. It's her in her full gear. Tight waist, boobs out. We're told that this is Bela Lugosi's wife.
That just passed away.
That they just dug the hole in.
Yes, they just buried her.
Yes.
And she is now risen.
She has risen somehow from the moment they dug it in. She's out of the coffin.
Yep.
And she's, by the way, 40-something years younger.
I'm going to go ahead and say that. Yeah, but she's married to Bela Lugosi supposedly in this movie.
Apparently.
And so
she just looks at them, turns her face sideways with a face, and puts her hands up in the air with her fingernails.
Very long fingernails.
Black fingernails that look like they're just like fake fingertips.
Yeah.
And the gravediggers just scream.
And then that's just it. They
just scream,
and then they cut away.
And we don't see it. Yeah.
They cut away, and
we cut to Bela Lugosi now at his house.
Yes.
And
we
get a great narration again that he comes out of his house and he looks at a rose next to his house. The narration says, "The roses are
they're never gonna grow the same
just like
again."
the color of her cheeks." He says, "And that man left that day, never to return again." And we hear car skid out, man scream, instant ambulance.
The home they had so long shared together became a tomb, a sweet memory of her joyous living. The sky to which she had once looked was now only a covering for her dead body. The ever beautiful flowers she had planted with her own hands became nothing more than the lost roses of her cheeks. Confused by his great loss, the old man left that home, never to return again.
Yes.
He's dead.
So he gets hit by a car.
And we cut now to his funeral, which is a cardboard cutout mausoleum. And it is extremely small. And it is against a black wall. And it unloads like a clown car of 7 people. One guy gets out and instantly starts smoking right in front of where the guys have to get out. So they're like almost hitting his butt. And a woman starts and she says, "It's really odd. Why was he buried in there and she was put in
buried
a hole
in the ground?"
In the ground. And he says, "I don't know, something about tradition or superstition."
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is supposed to be a joke that Bela Lugosi was buried in a crypt because he's Dracula.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
He was buried in his cape. He was. That's what his wishes were, that he would be buried in his Dracula cape.
So this man and this woman start to walk away, and she instantly looks at the camera, screeches, and we see 2 dead, stuffed mannequin people dressed in the gravedigger's outfits.
They put the mannequin arm over the face so that you can't tell that it's a mannequin.
It's not even a mannequin. It's like sacks. It's basically stuffed clothing.
It's clothes that is stuffed with like pillowcases or pillows or something.
This is some kind of pillow person.
There was no trying. There was no trying on that scene whatsoever.
No one ever noticed the gravediggers have been missing, although there was just a funeral where a crypt was filled with another body. The workers didn't work that day, apparently, and no one even noticed they were missing. So who did this work is beyond me. So they see those bodies, and we now cut we cut to the cops showing up at the where the two dead bodies were found.
Yeah.
Now this is my favorite part. We actually get a scene of the cops all getting into a car and taking off. And again, nighttime, daytime, nighttime, daytime.
It just keeps switching from nighttime to daytime. He just can't get it right.
These cops get there. There's, I think, 2 groups of cops. These are my favorite characters ever.
They're the best characters in the movie.
We have a lead detective who is played by Tor Johnson, who is a giant wrestler. He's in a detective outfit. It looks like his jacket's about to burst.
He can't fit.
Yeah,
he just can't fit.
He's
so big.
He's supposed to be the chief of police.
He's Inspector Clay. He is supposed to be the big man. What?
He's supposed to be like
the head of the police.
And then he's followed by the lead detective.
So, yeah, that person is Lieutenant Harper.
Yeah, okay, Lieutenant Harper.
Yes.
He's dressed in a giant comical detective trench coat and fedora type hat.
Yeah, he looks like a private eye.
And then we have about 3 or 4 bumbling cops.
Patrolman Larry. We have Patrolman Kelton, who's your favorite.
Yep.
Why,
Come on, man, out with it. We haven't got all day to waste.
just over there beyond the crib.
All right, show us the way.
But yeah, those are the 2 basically that are like the best. They're the 2 cops that are just ridiculously the best.
They show up and they find these 2 bodies. They say it looks like they were mauled by a bobcat.
There's no blood.
There's no blood. There's just 2 sacks on the floor of people. People sacks.
People sacks.
And again, we hear... And we see that Vampira is standing in the shadows watching them. They don't notice this. Now, they are on a set that is fake grass and cardboard tombstones everywhere. And fake trees. So... They see these bodies, and they're doing their best detective work. They're like, well, yeah, that's some stuff that's happened. And the lead guy, which is Tor Johnson, he says that he's going to go walk off, and he's going to investigate the cemetery.
Yeah.
To see if there's anything else he can find.
Yeah, he goes off by himself after all these.
And just to hammer that in, since he cannot deliver a line of dialogue properly at all, and he's hardly speaking English.
Well, Tor Johnson is from Sweden.
Yes.
He had a very thick accent.
So he says, hey.
Who found them?
The man and girl.
Medical examiner been around yet?
Just left. The morgue wagon ought to be along most any time.
You get their statement?
Yeah, much as we could. They're pretty scared.
Finding a mess like this ought to make anyone frightened. Have one of the boys take the guy and the girl back to town. You take charge.
Okay, Inspector. What are you going to do?
Look around a little.
It's pretty dark out there. Once you get beyond the range of those lights, you won't be able to see your hand in front of your face.
I will get one of the flashlights from the patrol car.
Hey, be careful, Clay.
I'm a big boy now, Johnny.
I don't even know what he said.
He said, I'm a big boy now, Johnny. That's what he says. I'm a big boy now, Johnny.
Sounds like you're going for a Sylvester Stallone type. Say, I am the law.
I am the law. Yeah. Hey, Mickey. So anyways, he says, I'm a big boy now, Johnny. And they laugh, and he walks off. Now, he gets not that far.
No, he does. He gets a couple of steps away, to be honest with you.
And, of course, he gets attacked. And the other, before this happens, we see Kelton talking and also the other cop talking. The other cop and the detective always have, like, conversations. Kelton is the guy who's scared of everything. The other cop's like, you smell that? Yeah, I do. And we hear, wah, And we see Tor getting approached by not only Vampira, by Bela Lugosi now.
Yes.
Now, this isn't Bela Lugosi anymore.
No, it's no longer Bela Lugosi.
This is a man holding a cape up around his nose and his face, covering his face up. And they surround this inspector, Tor, and he shoots off a bunch of bullets. He doesn't run. He doesn't scream. He just gets killed by these two.
He just stands there.
They're walking slowly at him from different angles. He can go anywhere.
They're walking so slow they could be stopped, but he doesn't walk away or run away or scream or do anything. He just allows himself to be killed. He allows it to happen.
And he lets out... And the other cops go, what was that? I think that was Inspector Clay. We should go really find out.
Well, they do hear gunshots. He does fire his gun, which gets nowhere.
But then they're like, what was that? I think it was Inspector Clay. We should go check it out. They slowly go over there. Now, remember this. These are coworkers. They walk over and see his dead body, and they chill out. They don't even freak out. None of them are sad.
Oh,
they
that's
go,
the thing that happened.
That's Inspector Clay.
That's Inspector Clay.
In fact, he says, he's dead, murdered, and somebody's responsible.
It's your favorite line in the movie.
One of the best lines ever written in a movie.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
He's messed up as bad as those two back there. Suppose that saucer or whatever it was had something to do with this?
Your guess is as good as mine, Larry. One thing's sure. Inspector Clay's dead. Murdered. And somebody's responsible.
You're in charge now, Lieutenant.
Yeah, guess I am.
It's my favorite.
That's what the detective says.
The lead detective is now telling us all of this while pointing a gun all over the place.
Like, literally, he's almost scratching his head with this gun.
He scratches his shoulder with it. It points it at everybody.
These cops are the worst with the props. Like, they are literally, flaring them around and just pointing them everywhere and scratching their faces with the guns and just... It's the most ridiculous...
This actor, fun fact, this actor has been telling people for a very long time, I did that on purpose. Because this movie was so bad, I wanted to see if Ed Wood would even realize that I was doing what I was doing.
And you know what? If Ed Wood did realize that he was doing it, he didn't care.
And I feel like we definitely skipped over a bit. Because I feel like we have gotten a shot of the spaceships flying around.
Okay, well, no, you missed...
Because I think they woke Bella up.
Previously on Lost.
What they're saying is that how this whole thing came about and how the army found out about it and the police or whatever.
That happens all in the between this?
Yes, it happens between it where the two airline pilots, which is one of our protagonists, Jeff Trent, I believe his name is, he's an airline pilot. And they see that the two pilots see the flying saucer, and there's a big flash of light, and the plane goes and it dips, and they're like, "Oh my God, what was that? Oh my God!" And then the stewardess comes rushing in, and she's like, "Oh my God, the passengers are scared. Oh, just tell them, we had some slight turbulence. We're fine." But they saw the flying saucers. They saw them, and so he, reported it to the military.
Well, let's if that happens in there, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I definitely missed something here. I forgot about.
Yeah, Jeff Trent.
So they're in the airplane and they're flying. The pilot of this airplane, he's not flying.
No, first of all,
he's got his hands on the sides.
Yeah, please. Okay, let me just explain to our listeners what this scene, the whole entire set. Okay, it is cardboard walls with a shower curtain for a door. And then there are two men in airline pilot uniforms sitting there as pilot and co-pilot. And they are sitting in front of no light panels, no buttons, no, anything except for one piece of cardboard in front of them that's supposed to be the controls for the plane.
Yes.
And you can tell it's just a slab of cardboard. There is no handles. There's nothing. There's not one button in this cockpit. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish. I mean, just making these two people dress like airline pilots, I guess that was enough.
Yeah.
And the stewardess or the flight attendant, she had a flight attendant outfit on. So I guess that's how you can tell it was, a cockpit.
That's what we're supposed. Yeah,
But
we're led
he
to believe.
put literally zero attention to detail.
There's
into
also
that.
stock footage of an airplane.
Stock footage of an airplane that's supposed to be American Airlines, mind you. Okay, but this is a clear military plane.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't notice that. I know it's a silver plane. Of
silver, and it's like definitely a military, like from like the 1940s
this
or
is
whatever.
the 50s, yeah.
You know, it was like an older plane. It was definitely not a commercial, passenger plane.
I have to point out the co-pilot. He has a microphone strapped to his chest in some kind of like harness.
Yeah.
He's also reading the script on his lap. Funny fact about that, the movie was shot in a way where you weren't supposed to see that, but because it was released on home video and widescreen and stuff, things got shown.
Yes.
So you can clearly see he's reading his entire script, which is a lot of him calling ground control.
Yeah, so he's calling ground control. Oh my God, whatever. So
and he's like, Dallas, I don't know what airport it is. I can't remember.
Something just happened.
Well, that didn't even happen because they're having a full conversation, and she comes in, the stewardess, and she's asking if they want coffee, and I think he's worried about he's just thinking about his wife or whatever, and the co-pilot asks her if he wants to get together and ball when they land in Cincinnati or somewhere. I can't remember where. He goes, "Do you want to ball it up?"
Hi, Edie.
Hi, Silence. I haven't heard a word from this end of the plane since we left the field.
I've just been giving himself and me a study in silence.
You boys aren't feuding.
No, Edie, nothing like that. Hey, Edie, how about you and me balling it up in Albuquerque?
Albuquerque? Have you read that flight schedule, boy?
What about it?
We land in Albuquerque at 4 a.m. That's strictly a 9 o'clock town.
Well, I know a friend that'll help us.
Let's have the problem first. Huh, Danny?
This is after they saw the UFO.
No, they haven't seen it yet. No, they haven't seen it yet.
I don't remember when he says that.
Yes, he says, "Do you want to ball it up?" Which now, if you say that to a woman, you're going to get slapped.
Oh my God.
But I think they mean you want to have a good time.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You want to hang out or whatever. And she's like, "Let's not deal with that right now."
Oh my God.
You know what? This scene might actually happen in a later part of the movie because there's there's a couple parts in airplanes. But,
yeah, they don't mean anything. It's just stupid dialogue.
Yeah, but they get a blinding flash of light. They get startled. Now, if he would have had the controller in his hand, he would have flipped the airplane up in the air by pulling on it.
Yes, he would have pulled on the controls and like maybe dipped a little or something, but the airplane literally doesn't move.
And the flash of light actually shows the boom mic in the shadows.
Yeah.
And they look outside the window, and he says, "Oh my God, look at that. It looks like a giant cigar." Now, what we see is picture a hubcap, a silver hubcap.
Yes.
What really is actual models of UFO models. A lot of people wrongly think that it was a hubcap or two plates, like plastic plates put together. But it's actually a model kit that they got. Mm-hmm. And they try to use it a lot. But yeah, that's outside the window, and it's hanging from like a fishing line. So it's dangling up and down on the sides. It's not like staying steady. He says it looks like a cigar. Now, this is the most confusing line of dialogue. What is he talking about when he says a cigar? I've also heard other people talk about UFOs and say they look like a cigar. Like, what cigar are you smoking?
That's just, I don't even know what that...
It's got a bubble in the middle.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't
it's
look
round.
anything like a cigar.
It doesn't look anything like what they're talking about. I never understood that.
I don't get it either. I mean, a cigar to me looks like a piece of poop. It's like cigars are just gross.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's an alien spaceship.
So the next scene after this, okay, so apparently Jeff Trent, the airline pilot and our protagonist, he lands the plane, and we see him at home with his wife, and they're just outside on the patio, having some tea, relaxing, and then the best scene ever. I laughed my ass off.
Every scene is the best.
Well,
scene.
okay,
that's why
so
I'm so confused. Like,
you know,
so many good things to talk about here.
so many good things. But his wife's name is Paula, so they're sitting there having tea, and all of a sudden, Paula says, "Oh my God, there's so many sirens! Like, what's going on at the cemetery? It seems like it's at the cemetery."
Please don't jump over the fact that she says, "What's bothering you? I can tell you're troubled." And he says something you were talking about during the movie that you love. We landed. We were muzzled by army brass.
Yeah.
And he says, "I saw a UFO. I know I saw a UFO." He tells his wife everything.
Yeah.
Now, we were not supposed to tell anybody he was told.
No,
He's like, I was told I'm not supposed to tell anybody. After just telling his wife.
Yeah, he's banned from telling anyone, so he tells her. But then, right after he says that, literally, a huge whoosh, like comically,
whoosh, like that,
comically knocks them off their chairs, and she must have gone. This woman must have gone to like the William Shatner School of Falling because she falls so amazingly off this chair. It is just, it almost seems like it's happening in slow motion.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time I watch this movie, I just want to keep rewinding that scene because it's just so funny. I laugh every time.
Great.
So they fall off their chairs.
I guess we should point out that this is the worst located house on the earth.
Yeah,
It's
they're like on
actually
the cemetery.
On the cemetery.
Yeah. They're on the cemetery.
And I don't think there's anybody else existing. And also,
no, they don't have neighbors.
They're sitting out in their back porch. It looks like their back porch, which is really funny for later on when he gets in his car.
Yeah. So, and then
at that same time, the light flashing happens and knocks them over.
Yep.
It also knocks over the guys in the cemetery. And I was wrong to do this because this is before the inspector, I think, gets killed. They are carrying, the two bumbling cops are carrying, or I think there's paramedics or some sort, carrying the two corpses on a, like carrying
like a stretcher.
A stretcher.
Mm-hmm.
And the flash of light makes them throw the bodies up in the air. And you can clearly see that they trip on the false like grass. That they're on,
it's sod. It's like sod. It's like AstroTurf.
It's actually
really.
like some kind of green tarp.
Yeah.
And it just goes up in the air, and you can see in the very back, the foot of one of the paramedics hits the tombstone, and it's just jiggling.
It just jiggles.
It's just all flopping around.
Oh my God! It's just the props are so bad.
The body, which is amazing.
Oh my God! It was amazing. That scene's amazing. I love it.
This is why the inspector goes off and investigates.
Yeah, and so then he gets murdered. So
they at the house, they're saying that they've been hearing sirens all day, and something crazy's going on. And that flash of light is the exact same flash of light he saw in the plane.
Yeah. So then, the next morning it's like newspaper headlines, bing, 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 UFOs, flying saucers everywhere. And then they show like 3 flying saucers together in the same shot flying over Los Angeles. And then, so the military, I guess, is all over this because of the pilots. They saw it. So they start firing.
Well, yeah, no, they cut to.
They start firing missiles.
They cut to a guy. He's standing on basically a white. He's standing in a warehouse on a white backdrop that are supposed to be outside, and they show army footage of the space ships coming down. Just 3 of them.
Yeah,
and they're all dangling up in the air.
Yeah.
And they show the stock footage of the army firing. He says, "Fire," and they just show the stock footage of the firing, and they show firecrackers going off around the 3.
The props, the UFO
spaceships,
props.
yeah. And they fly off, and one of the army guys comes over and they have a conversation about the one army guy's like, "Why are they here?" And he's like, "They've been coming here for a long time. We're not allowed to talk about it.
They've been covering it up.
We have to cover it up." He's like, "They actually attacked a whole town, a small town, but with people.
Yeah, and they obliterated.
And people died. Sure, it wasn't many people, but it was people.
Yes, but they obliterated the whole town, and nobody knows about this.
And they covered it up. He's like, every time there's an earthquake, every time there's a natural disaster, it could be aliens."
Oh my God!
And he's like, "We're not supposed to talk about it." And he's like, "Talk about what? We're just firing at the clouds." It's every line in this movie is just fantastic.
Oh my God! Well, now it's a good time, right? This is the time that we get to meet the aliens.
Well, we forgot Jeez, we forgot about so many things because they resurrected Bella, and I feel like we saw a scene of that, but I don't know how that happens.
No,
I think
he just came out of the crypt.
comes down, and you see a ray, and I think it hits the crypt, and he comes out of the crypt.
It was very
and
fast.
That's when they kill the lieutenant.
Yeah.
And there's also a scene here where Inspector Clay is buried.
Yeah.
It's like, this is all within a day.
They just, Inspector Clay dies
There's a funeral
in the morning,
scene for him.
and then he gets buried, and there's a funeral, and everything happens in the same day.
Yeah.
But now we get to see the aliens that...
Well, after being shot at from the military, they fly off, and we see that they have flown to a flying tit.
It's a huge boob.
It's a tit on a platter.
Boob.
Yeah.
Yes, it's supposed to be a planet, but it just looks like
I think it's a big spaceship. I don't think it's a planet.
Is it? It looks like it has a ring around it. It looks like a Saturn. But with a boob.
If that's supposed to be a planet.
It looks like it has a ring around it. It has to be
a space station.
Okay, let's go with that. It's a space station.
They
fine.
fly into it. We see them. And we also, by the way, this is space, so we hear a lot of this.
Yeah.
Like, it's so great.
Okay.
It's fantastic. And they all land.
Yeah.
And we meet our lead aliens.
Yes. Okay, so the commander alien, his name is Eros. And, okay, first, the bottom line is the reason that they're trying to take over Earth is because they think that man is going to destroy the planet with their
we don't get that
wartime weapons
way at the end.
But this is their motivation. So whatever.
There's a guy sitting at the desk. He is an older gentleman, and he's painted up in makeup. And you can't see it's in black and white, but you can see that he's got a lot of color on his face. And this guy's so expressional. Everything he's doing is like, ugh, like that. He's always making faces like that. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
He is the Lord Commander of these aliens. He's great. He's in basically medieval garb. He has medieval times like a crest on his chest of like an axe.
Yeah, and he's like wearing like a satiny blouse.
Yes, a blouse. And he's sitting at the table, and Eros, our main alien, comes in, and they signal each other by doing. And there's also a female alien that follows Enos.
Yes, Eros.
They come in and they do one of those cross the arms to do an X. They basically are doing Wakanda Forever X.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
They slap their chest, and they do the X, and they signal each other. And when the lead alien sees that, he just goes, yeah.
If you didn't hear that padding, that's Scott actually doing the salute.
They come in, and now Eros and the other alien woman, I can't remember her name.
I don't remember them saying her name.
Well, that's a thing.
Oh, it's
too.
Tana.
Yeah. They come in, they are in dress blouse type things. Right?
Yeah, they're clearly wearing blouses.
Yeah, it is like very. You can only imagine it's like some kind of like material that's shiny.
It's like really. I would say that they're wearing silk blouses, and leggings and boots. Yeah. And this is their alien
and tight
fashion.
Black spandex.
Yeah, that's
for
leggings,
pants,
like tight
leggings,
black leggings.
They walk in. They also have a little holster tied around their waist.
Oh, to keep their little blasters. Yeah.
Which there's a whole plot with those guns. They come in. They say hi to the Lord Commander. The Lord Commander's like, he's like, we're here to fuel and regenerate our spaceships, and we're going to go back to Earth to continue our plans. And he's like, what plan are we on now? And he says, Plan 9. Oh, yes, Plan 9. And he picks up the script and he goes, oh, yes, the resurrection of the dead. And he's like, yes. He's like, how many have you resurrected so far? And he's like, 2. And he's like, oh, 2. And he's like, yes, it was very successful so far.
And at this point, it's more than 2.
No, they haven't done that yet because they just had the funeral. They're going to go back. He's like, we're going back and we're going to resurrect more, I believe. And he says, okay. Yeah, because they do go back later on. They go back again.
Yeah, they go back again.
This is the first time. And he says, he's like, I don't really know. I can't remember a lot of this plot here.
20 minutes later.
He's great. The actor playing the guy, the Lord Commander guy, the guy who's like in charge of the aliens, he's fantastic. He is just not having it. He's not enjoying them. He just keeps rolling his eyes and looking around like, hey. It's like he's like, we've tried to contact the humans and they won't respond. The next step is to use the dead to attack them. That's the plan 9.
Right.
And he's okay. He's like, I basically tells him to go show the thing. I don't think this is where Tor is already. Right?
Well, no, they do. You know, he does.
I've seen this so many times, and
I know.
I just watched it again, and for some reason my mind's blitzed.
I know. I feel like I'm blitzed too, but I think this is the scene where they actually do bring Tor and Vampira into the ship. I think they do
later because he tells them to kill the old man. That has to happen later.
I don't remember, to be honest with you. We just watched it again.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
So they go back to Earth and they resurrect the lieutenant, Tor Johnson, and it's fantastic. There's a whole scene. For some reason, they attack the woman that lives in the house.
Yeah, Paula.
There's a great scene where he's got to go to work again. He's got to go on another tour with the airline.
Yeah.
He's got to go do more flights. And they have a really romantic speech. And they go to your wild blue yonder. And it is fantastic. And every time I hear the speech between the two of them, I love it. And I actually probably can quote half of the damn thing. It's just fantastic. He says, well, he's going to leave, and he doesn't want to leave until she locks up the house because he's afraid to leave her. Rightfully so. There's been crazy stuff in the cemetery, flashing lights, alien ships. The world has been getting newspapers.
Yep.
That there's like a whole montage of the aliens over Hollywood, aliens over Paris. You know.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be happening all over the world, but we only see Burbank.
Yeah. And there's a great part where a drunk comes out of a strip club and sees the alien and he throws away the bottle. He's sober now. Because he sees the cigar in the sky.
Oh my god, the cigar in the sky.
And remember, the opening of this movie tells us that this is a true story that nobody knows about. But it was all over the news in this scene.
It's all over the news.
All over the scene. They're like, they're flying everywhere. Everybody knows about them. And they even cut to the army saying nobody knows about them.
Yeah.
There's So Tor, the lieutenant got killed. So the head of this army that we're seeing, he's the head of the alien task force or some sort. I think he says something like that.
I guess.
He's called into an office from the brass. They call him in. This actor, he's bumbling his lines like crazy.
The brass.
He calls him in. He plays a record. It turns out that the aliens have been sending them records. Or some kind of... They gave them a device. Mm-hmm. That will translate the alien language to them.
Yeah.
And he plays it for him. It's virtually a record player, and he plays a record for him. And it's these aliens saying, you humans are stupid, and we're trying to help you. Yep. And you won't listen. You keep attacking us. We're trying to be peaceful here.
Yeah.
But our next step is going to be war.
Yeah.
We're trying to tell you stuff.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to tell the humans that they're just all they are like hell bent on destruction all the time.
Yeah, and it's this whole thing's like we're trying to reach out to you. You need to contact us. We need to respond.
Yeah.
But you keep meeting us with force.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep meeting you with force. And the guy just stops the recording and goes, "We got about 10 of these."
Oh my god.
And the guy that's listening to him is like, "Wow, what do they want?" He just said it. You just heard the whole damn thing. He's saying he wants to talk to you guys. He's worried about you.
I think it's about time you heard these recordings.
This is Eros, a space soldier from a planet of your galaxy. I fully realize our language differences. However, I also know you finally have perfected the dictorobotery, or as you on Earth call it, the language computer. So you can now understand that which I speak. Since the beginning of your time, we have been far beyond your planet. It has taken you centuries to even grasp what we developed eons of your years ago. Do you still believe it impossible we exist? You didn't actually think you were the only inhabited planet in the universe. How can any race be so stupid?
Permit me to set your mind at ease. We do not want to conquer your planet, only save it. We could have destroyed it long ago if that had been our aim. Our principal purpose is friendly. I admit we have had to take certain means which you might refer to as criminal. But that is because of your big guns, which have destroyed some of our representatives. If you persist in denying us our landings, then we must only accept that you do not want us on friendly terms. We then have no alternative but to destroy you before you destroy us. With your ancient, juvenile minds, you have developed explosives too fast for your minds to conceive what you are doing. You are on the verge of destroying the entire universe. We are a part of that universe. This is our last...
That's the end of that one. Atmospheric conditions in outer space often interfere with transmitting.
How many of these recordings do you have, General?
An even dozen up to now. This was the last one. We received it over a month ago.
Do you think they mean business?
So he's like, well, I want you to go to Hollywood or California, where there's been a lot of sightings in the cemetery. And I want you to meet up with the local police force there and see what's happening. And he's like, I trust you to keep this discreet, and I need you to take care of this. So that army guy gets sent to California. That's when the husband and wife, now he's got to go to the air. He's got to go back on to his tour of the air, whatever the hell you call it, his job. He's got to go fly. And he's saying, lock up the doors. This thing's creepy. There's a lot of things. I won't leave until you lock the doors. And she says, well, if you're good enough, I'll even lock the side door. And he's like, you crazy kid, you got to lock it up.
Their dialogue is absolutely ridiculous.
And this actor, the lead actor, you can tell that he's miserable. He signed on and he knew it was bad. And he signed on to do it anyways. But he is very mopey in his scenes.
Yeah, he's oh god, yeah, he's very like
he's very stiff. Sometimes he just mopes around when he's walking. He's just moping.
Yeah,
and he seems depressed.
That actor's Gregory Walcott.
Yeah, he this is great. They're in their backyard again. He just walks toward the camera and is at his car that's completely in a black garage of some sort.
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
It's not even close to being outside.
No.
It's somewhere, it's inside somewhere. Like
I don't know
where
when he does his scene like cuts, it's like you're in one place and you're automatically in light. You're in light, but then when he jumps to the next scene, it's dark out.
Yeah.
And then when you're outside, you jump to the next scene and you're supposed to be walking to a vehicle that's also outside.
Yeah.
But he walks inside to his car.
No, he actually walks straight into the camera, which is outside of the house.
Right.
But it's supposed to be the backyard, and it's supposed to be a fence. We see a fence.
Yeah, we see the fence.
But then all of a sudden, when he walks into the camera, there's no fence.
He's in like some kind of warehouse. Like
he's in a warehouse. He's just in a black room with
Edwin
a car in it.
Edwin does not know what the hell scenery is.
There's a little bit of a fog machine going. So he goes to work, and they have another airplane scene. I think this is when the guy, the co-pilot, says, you want to ball it up when we get into the woman. They're like, wait a minute, let's worry about him. Are you okay? And he's like, I'm worried about my wife. All that crazy stuff's happening, and I'm worried about it. They're like, well, why didn't you call? We can get you on the line, and we can patch you through, and you can call her on the phone.
Yeah.
And he's like, really? Okay, let's do that. Well, at that exact same moment, because she's such a ditzy girl. She did not lock the side door.
Nope.
Because Bela Lugosi, well, not really Bela Lugosi, actually Ed Wood's chiropractor, in a cape put over his nose, comes into the house and comes after her slowly. Mm-hmm. He can only turn in one direction, by the way, because they don't want to show his face.
Right.
Because only one side profile looks like Bella to this guy. He doesn't look anything like him.
No, he doesn't look
He's
like
actually,
Bella.
you can tell it's a younger man.
Yeah.
He has to turn only in one direction. Well, the woman sees him. She's in her 90s. She's sleeping. She screams. She runs out of the house. And he just slowly chases her. And that's when the pilot's trying to call her. But he can't get her on the phone.
Yeah.
So now he's worried about her. And he's got to get home.
Because she's a dummy.
Yeah. So she runs out into the cemetery.
In her
and right
nightgown.
at that time, they are resurrecting Tor from the inspector through his grave. Which, by the way, The gravestone is a tiny little piece of material. It's so small.
It's a tiny piece of cardboard.
The shot in which Thor comes out of his grave, which is probably one of the most iconic scenes because it looks awesome.
Yeah.
He's rising up out of his grave, and he's got white contacts in and a scar on his face. Fun fact, the scar keeps moving throughout the entire movie. Why? Because the prosthetic they were putting on his face kept burning his skin.
Yeah.
So they had to keep moving it.
Poor guy.
And he
And
also
his
had
contacts
contacts he could not see.
Yeah, they were hurting his eyes. He couldn't see.
He rises out of the grave. It's so creepy. She sees it. She screams. She runs. But we get the whole shot of him getting out of the grave. The best part is the actor cannot squeeze out of the grave. So he's trying to get out of the grave. And he's basically like moving side to side. He can't get out. Apparently he does get all the way out. We don't see him getting all the way out. But what we do get is a shot of the little tiny little tombstone fall forward
Oh my
into
god,
the grave.
it falls into the grave. It's the best thing ever. It's the
just goes
tiniest
plop.
tombstone you've ever seen. It's like made out of paper mache.
It's incredible.
And it just, oh my god, it's so comical.
Well, the wife in her lingerie runs out into the street daytime and finds a guy, stops his car, and he's like, what happened? There are no neighbors. They live on the cemetery in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere. There's nowhere to run. Like,
And
there's
it's
nowhere.
woodlands. It's woodlands.
Yeah.
It's not even a cemetery. It's just woods. And a guy picks her up and rushes her to safety.
Yeah.
So that's when the cops get with her. The husband comes home, and now the military guy shows up. They all meet at their house.
Yes.
So now it's like it's an entire thing. That there's like a whole meeting. They're like talking to them.
They're sitting outside in their back patio.
They're all there. Kelton's parked right outside the gate, and he's got a watch out there. And he's like, "Why do I always got to get the crazy things?" The cops actually go to the grave site, and they find an open grave, and the tombstone is inward, and they're like, "Whose grave is this?" Get Kelton, get in there. And he's like, "Why is it always me? All these ghosts and these crazy things. Why is it always me? Oh boy!" And he gets in there, and he goes, "Oh my God, it's Inspector Clay's." Now, how do they not know they buried their friend in this spot?
Like an hour ago.
Only, it just say a day. Even if it's a day ago.
He died in the
do they
morning
not-
and was buried by like noon.
They must have hated this prick. They must have hated this guy because even when they found his dead body, they just did not give a shit.
Is he dead?
Yeah. He's messed up as bad as those two back there. Suppose that saucer or whatever it was had something to do with this?
Your guess is as good as mine, Larry.
They don't care. They don't react any emotion. And again, they don't know where he's buried. And so they're like, but it's inward. So someone came out of it. No one went into it because the dirt's on the side. The dirt is inside the grave.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh my God, what does that mean?" So now that's when they go to the house with the wife because of what happened. They go in to meet up with them. And we have a whole conversation between the military guy asking what's happening, what did you see, the cops talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about all these things that have been happening before that happens. Eros?
Yeah.
He brings Tor to his high commander to show him off as a specimen.
Oh, yeah, that
and
happened.
He's like, "Oh, is everybody on Earth like such a specimen like this?" And he's like, "No, he's an unusual case."
Yeah, because he's so big.
He's like, "So now you have 3 bodies, 3 zombies." And he's like, "Yes." And he's like, "You know what? I just came up with an idea. Bring the old man to them as a display of our power and hit him with the ray in front of them. And when they see it, they'll know how strong we are."
Yeah. So,
that is insane.
That was Bela Lugosi, supposedly.
So when they're all sitting on that porch, Bela Lugosi, he's supposed to be the old man they're talking about, gets sent at them. And Kelton's outside the car, and he comes at him. He starts shooting at him. And I think that he just taps him, and Kelton falls to the floor. He's knocked out.
Yeah, he just taps him.
And he starts coming toward the group on the porch. And the wife's just screaming. And the new lead inspector, he's just shooting unloading the bullets into him. Doesn't do anything. And right before Bella gets toward them, the ray comes from the graveyard and hits him, and the body falls to the floor. They take off the cloak, and it's just a skeleton.
It was so comical.
They're like, oh my God. Well, it's just a bag of bones now. So they're like, hey, what about Kelton? Oh, yeah, that guy. So they like slap him awake, and he goes, whoa, did you get him? Did you get him? And they're like, yeah, he's just a bag of bones. It's all over, you know? And he's like, this is kooky.
Oh man. So then after that, it gets crazier. So I guess
they decide to go into the graveyard.
They decide to go to the graveyard all together. Didn't they send Inspector Clay to kidnap Paula?
No, that happens when they split up because they leave her in the car with Kelton.
Yeah, and then Kelton gets knocked out.
Well, Inspector Clay they just left her, and then she says, I want to stay with you, to her husband, rightfully so. She's seen some crazy shit today.
Yeah.
And the other cops go. The cop goes to the military guy. Modern women.
Mrs. Trent, you better stay with the car.
Stay here alone? Not on your life.
Modern women.
Yeah, they've been that way all down through the ages.
It's like, what
and
the
he's
hell?
Like, and the military guy goes, they've been that way through all the ages. He's like,
yeah, like
especially in situations like this. Especially, yeah, no shit in situations like this. She's scared to death. She just saw a man turn into a skeleton.
Yeah.
She's been attacked.
I feel so bad for that woman. But she is a dummy. She didn't lock the door. Not that would have helped.
So she gets in the car with Kelton. And she basically says, I'm safer with you, to her husband, than Kelton. Yeah, and I agree. So they all split up. They come across the spaceship.
Yeah.
The group of the husband, the military guy, and the new inspector all come on up to a spaceship that's been parked in the cemetery.
Yeah, it landed there, and so they're like, oh,
the door opens for them, and they go
inside.
At that same exact time, Inspector Clay's zombie body walks up and chops Kelton in the neck, and he faints. He's passed out again, and he walks up to the wife. She passes out. He picks her up and carries her like Frankenstein would carry somebody.
Yeah.
And that's and Vampire, by the way, is just walking around too.
Oh yeah, she's just walking around.
Yeah, she's not doing much. She just keeps staring at everything they keep doing. And so they're inside the ship now.
Yes, Eros. So Eros lets them in. Yes. He just lets them in, and he tells them, their guns are drawn, and he tells them that their human weapon, like if they develop any more, weapons.
Yeah, well, they say they got guns on him, and they tell him, we're gonna shoot you, and he's like, you know what? It will kill me, and I don't want to die. But you humans all do that. You're all so stupid. And then they're like, the guy's like, will you say that one more time? And he hits him in the face, I think. Yeah. And he says,
well, he grabs him.
He says, yeah, you call. He's like, us stupid? You think he's like, you humans don't care about life. That's why we're here. And he's like, why are you here? He's like, because we're trying to stop you. We're trying to save all of life in the whole universe. Because your scientists one day will create Solarmanite.
Solarnite. I don't even know how to say it.
I think it's Solarmanite. Solarmanite?
Yeah.
And they're like, what is that? That doesn't exist.
Yes.
And he's like, it will. And he's like, they'll harness the power of the sunlight.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's crazy talk. And he's like, your scientists are already trying to harness the energy from the sun.
Yeah.
He's like, you think that's any different? He's like, first they created a firecracker. Then they created a grenade. It kills many people. Then they did the bomb. Then they did a bigger bomb. Then they did the atom bomb.
Yep.
It's like they exploded the atoms, killing hundreds of people. And now you will sooner or later create Solarnite that will kill all of the universe.
Yeah.
They're like, you're talking madness. And then I love it because I think he does an entire explanation of what Solarnite is. He says that it'll be like
sunlight molecules.
Sunlight's like gasoline.
Yeah.
And if you light it, it'll travel to the source, which is the sun, and explode the sun.
Yeah, and then if that happens, the entire
universe is gone.
will be gone.
We'll lose our sun. And we'll
So, I mean, they have good intentions.
That's the wildest part about this movie. The bad guys are the good guys.
The bad guys are the good guys, but why are they resurrecting the dead? It makes no sense.
Well, they went through all their 9
them...
plans so far. Apparently, one of those plans was communication, and that didn't work.
What were the other ones?
Well, I think it was probably remove 2 of the hot dogs from a pack, so you have 6, and then you have 8 buns, so you're like really screwed over with those 2 extra buns.
Why
Also,
don't
maybe
the hot
stealing
dogs
socks.
and buns match?
Yeah, why don't they match? Oh, some of the companies got away with it. That's why that plan failed.
That's crap.
Every plan got crazier and crazier. Can you imagine what Plan 10 is?
Oh my god, no.
Plan 10 is like probably dressing up like ghosts and scaring people.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So, alright, so Eros is telling them, what...
Yeah, but the best part is the sidekick woman, she gets in front and she's like, you think we're mad? Humans are mad. You fight countries. And Eros does not like that this woman's speaking up. And he shakes her.
Yeah.
And says, shut up, woman. And then that's when the lead actor punches him in the face. And he's like, I won't have any more lip of you from you. And even better, he goes to show them. He's like, look, we have your friends at the car you left behind, which is the guy's wife. And he's like, what? And he goes, let me show you. And he goes to a computer panel, and the guy just shoots the computer.
Yeah, he just shoots
And he
it.
goes, wow, you're a headstrong young man. And he's like, I was just going to show you on our television. It's not a television. They could say some wacky science thing.
Yeah.
You're just going to show you on the screen that we have your wife. And he's like, go for it. Show me. And then they see that he's got the wife in his arms, the zombie.
Yeah.
And they're like, you son of a bitch, I hurt her and everything. The 3 guys here are the biggest asshole idiots. Now, this guy is telling them, we're trying to make sure we all survive.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to contact you peacefully, but you people won't stop. And when he says to them, you humans are stupid. Stupid! I was like, yeah. We are fucking stupid. If these 3 idiots in this room are our heroes, we're screwed.
Yeah, the world is doomed.
Yeah. The one guy just can't stop hitting him and shooting things in the spaceship.
Yeah.
The other guy just has a gun on the woman.
Yeah. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's pointless. They're trying to, do the right thing. But, yes, they are summoning the dead to rise. And they're killing people.
It should be told that their guns are called electrode guns.
Electrode.
And they have to point them. They don't shoot. They're actually not guns. They're some kind of magnetic weapon that you have to press against the zombie to control them. That's a wild part. There's a whole part where Tor Johnson's zombie, Detective Clay, goes and strangles Eros.
Yeah. He doesn't kill him, though.
Because the girl's gun jams, and he's screaming, and the lead commander goes, throw it on the floor.
He'll snap out of it.
And then she's like, just tosses it.
So she tosses the gun on the floor, and it breaks contact,
Yeah.
and Thor is just like,
Yeah. So they have the wife outside the ship. And at that same time, the one cop finds Kelton and says, what's going on? And Kelton's explaining, this is the craziest night of my life. I just got knocked out twice. And the second person to knock me out was our old chief, Inspector Clay, who's dead. And he's like, oh, yeah, crazy. Now you're going to tell me you saw skeletons tonight, too. And he goes, we did. We did see skeletons. Everybody saw them.
Kelton's having the worst day.
Well, where are they all? He's like, that's the problem. We have to go find them. They're all missing. And I'm afraid that they took the wife and everything. We got to go help.
What happened to you?
How come you're all alone? I asked for lots of help.
You sounded drunk or something on the radio.
If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I'd never believe it.
Believe what?
It was horrible. And he almost broke my shoulder.
Look, what are you trying to say? If you don't make sense, we'll never get to the bottom of this. Now, who slugged you?
Inspector Clay.
What?
It was Clay, all right. Only not like we remembered him. Well, his leg was busted into, wasn't it?
Next, you'll tell me you saw skeletons.
We did, earlier.
Now I know you're off your rocker.
So they go and they investigate. They see Inspector Clay holding the wife, standing still. and they see the light in the distance. The way they keep showing the landed spaceship is virtually just a flashing light over a painting of the cemetery in the darkness.
Yeah.
And they see that, and he's like, I'm going to shoot him and save the wife. And he's like, no, guns won't work on them. We've unloaded clips on them. It doesn't do anything. He's like, all right, well, what if I grab a branch and hit him over the head? Because if guns don't work, branches over the head will totally knock him out. Sure as shit, it knocks him completely down, and they save the wife.
Yep, they save the wife. But like while they're in there, I guess something happens to their equipment, like a gun goes off and it shoots one of their.
Well, he goes, well, I'm gonna. Oh, it's fine. He's not under my command right now because I didn't turn it on. But I'm just gonna go turn it on. And he's like, hell, you are. And he starts fighting him. And the two, husband and Eros, start wrestling.
Yeah, they start struggling.
The wife goes to flip a switch to make the spaceship take off. Mm-hmm. And she's unable to because the other cop is trying to wrestle him, while the other cop is the military guy is trying to open the door, and he doesn't know how to because they're in a spaceship, which is virtually just a bunch of pieces of computers and old radios all over the place.
Yeah, it just looks like a bunch of junk.
Yeah, and they are wrestling, and as they're wrestling, they decide, Eros including, decides to pick up the machinery that flies the spaceship and chuck it at each other. They chuck it all over the place. It starts exploding and popping and starting a fire.
Yes, there's a fire inside the spaceship.
And the three heroes decide to get out while the spaceship starts taking off. They get out to safety, and Eros is knocked out on the floor, and the woman can't pilot the ship. It's taking off, though. And she starts screaming, Eros! Eros! And it starts fogging up in there, and it takes off, and they all just sit there and they go, they should be admired, though. They're way ahead of us. And then the whole spaceship explodes in the air of a fireball, and those two people are dead.
Yep.
They were just trying to stop humanity from killing themselves.
Yeah, they were just trying to stop us from, doing what humans do, which is just destroying everything.
And now Inspector Clay's body is turned into a skeleton as well.
Yes. Yep. And never to be heard from again.
Yeah. They're like,
well,
what about Vampira?
Yeah, we never see what happens to Vampira.
Like, oh, well, now that they're gone, she should just be a skeleton too.
Yeah, they just assume that was...
They just... the actress who plays Vampira, she did not like the script, and she asked to be mute. She hated her dialogue. She was supposed to have dialogue, apparently, which is weird because they're zombies. And she said, no, I'm not going to do this dialogue, and I'm just going to play this mute.
Yeah, well, Tor didn't have any dialogue when he was a zombie either.
No, which is... I'm guessing they were supposed to have a scene with Vampira as the wife talking or something. She threw it out. She said she wanted to she hated it so much, I'm just going to walk around.
I mean, it makes sense because they're supposed to be mindless zombies, so why would she have dialogue?
Yeah, and it's wild. And she obviously got written out halfway through because she doesn't do anything ever again.
That's true.
And she just disappears, and they're like, oh, she's dead too.
Yeah, that... They just ended.
And they end it with going back to the narration, and he tells us...
Criswell. We come back to Criswell.
And he says, I hope in the future that the future will be better for all of us, or something like that.
Better for mankind.
Yeah,
like...
And he's like, goodbye, my friends. I will see you in the future. Something like that.
Yeah. And that's the end. That's it.
I know. I feel like we skipped so many great jokes and comments and crazy things that happen in this movie. There's so much. And I probably can... I can do so many lines of dialogue from this film, but I feel like I'm not doing it any justice by the way I just explained this movie.
I mean, you can't really do it justice by talking about it. You have to see it. Like, you really have to see this movie. Like, I don't care what kind of a movie person you are. If you're, you like action movies, you like romantic comedies, you like, whatever, horror, you have to see this movie just to say, I witnessed this. I mean, you can't, if you ever hear the name Ed Wood from anyone, I feel like this movie is just synonymous with, like, the bad movie. Like, this is, the B movie.
Well, that's the craziest part. everybody has heard this is the worst movie ever made. It is not.
It is not the worst movie ever
And
made.
in fact, Ed Wood himself has made way worse.
Yeah, we didn't care much for Glenn or Glenda.
Glenda is a tough one, but it's like it's so ahead of its time that I can see why people like hold it higher.
Yeah.
It is extremely ahead of its time. If people don't know,
yeah.
Ed Wood was a cross-dresser
Mm-hmm.
and felt more comfortable in women's clothing. And he made a whole movie about that, virtually about wanting to be a woman. And that is, in the 50s, that is super ahead of its time. I can see why people held that one high.
I'm going to correct you when you say that he wanted to be a woman. He did not
Glenn and Glenda was about a person getting a sex change.
Yes. Okay. Ed Wood himself did not want to be a woman.
No,
he just felt more comfortable in women's clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was married to Kathy for a long time, up until he died. Yeah.
Yeah.
Up until he died, he was married to Kathy.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, in the end of his life, he became an alcoholic, and he started making really gratuitous films for no reason, and he died only at 50-something.
Yeah.
In 78.
Yep.
That's a shame. He actually lived less than half these actors in this movie, who are older men in this movie who died in the 2000s.
Yep.
Which is wild, some of these people.
I mean, pretty much everyone in this movie has passed on. There's no one left.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that they all passed away. They were all born in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
It's just hearing that this movie is the worst movie ever made. It just blows my mind because there are so many worse movies. I have seen so many worse movies from the same era, same decade, that this makes me always shocked that this one's the one. Because even if you don't like this movie, even if you see something like all the problems in this movie, it's still so much fun. And there's something to appreciate with this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you have to appreciate, and this man, I mean, I think he genuinely thought he was making a good movie. I mean, he didn't really have the common sense to look at what he was making and the scenes he was shooting to know that, okay, well, maybe this is a little off. That looks a little fake. That looks a little ridiculous, or this sounds a little ridiculous. And I know that his friends on the set had to be like, okay, Ed, you want to do another take? Because this is, ridiculous.
Yeah.
It didn't go the way we wanted it to. And he's like, oh, no, just cut and print. Like, he was just that impulsive.
Because they didn't have enough money for footage.
Yeah, he was that impulsive of a director. He's like, oh, no, it's all going to come together as one good thing. It's
cut corners, save money.
Save money, yeah. And, that's why he broke into, like, the studio warehouses and took props and stuff, because he literally had no money. Plan 9 was made for $60,000 that he got from these investors. And they had so much, riding on this movie, and it ended up being a flop. And, it's just one of those things.
And it's funny because it just kept going. After the people who gave him the money, they didn't get a return.
No.
Basically, he snuck it out there and became culty in like the late 50s, I think 59.
Yeah.
It started getting re-released.
Mm-hmm.
And it became bigger, but he still, like, his life did not get any better. Even he didn't get to see that fame.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't. Especially the way the fans, they revere him now as, like, the best, worst director. Because he does
he's
have
not even that either. Yeah.
He does have a huge cult following. Huge.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's made some fun, schlocky films that cult fans should eat up. These are movies that you should check out.
Yeah.
I would say Bride of the Monster is just as fun. It's not as good. This is the one it's so much fun. But Bride of the Monster's close. Night of the Ghouls also close.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty fun, and it's fun to see Kelton's character keep coming back and getting in all these wacky situations.
Yeah, it's like, I guess the one who made it the longest, to survive the longest out of all this, is General Roberts, the military. His name is the actor's Lyle Talbot.
Mm.
He made it to 94, but most of the cast of this movie died in their 60s. Some went to their 80s, but
yeah,
most
Yeah.
Most died in their 60s. So, yeah, there's no one left to talk about it, you know? It's like,
There's been a lot of people who have been interviewed before they died, though.
yeah.
A lot of these people talked about it. Some people embraced it, some people didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I think the actor who played Kelton definitely embraced it, and he knew, and he did like little skits online before he passed away.
Yeah.
As Kelton, which is amazing.
It's amazing.
And there's some people who did, and there's just some people who just refuse. The woman who's playing the other alien refused to talk about this movie. Completely
It's
disowned
a
it.
shame because,
even when
you know,
fans tried to reach out to her, she did not want to have anything to do with it.
you know, people
Vampire too. She hated it.
people love this movie though. Like, you know, it's very culty. It's very classic. It's a classic, you know, bad movie, and people love it. And so I feel like, you know, it sucks that they didn't embrace it.
Yeah.
But I can understand why too.
I think it's cool, and I always wonder how people are going to embrace fame as it comes along later in life.
Yeah.
I think that's always really interesting to explore. But and you see a lot of people saying I hated it, and you see later on, like I love that movie, the best worst movie about Troll 2, saying like that actor embracing it, like wow, this is amazing, you know,
Yeah.
and going on tour for it, but then slowly starting to realize it's not as popular as we were kind of hoping. You know, the same thing with Tommy Wiseau. It's like the popularity really isn't there.
I know.
You know, and it's sad, but at least they had a boom.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's in large part to
Here it's Tim Burton.
yeah, you know, like and also with Tommy Wiseau, that's in large part to what's his face?
James Franco.
James Franco, the
Yeah.
Disaster Artist
Well,
movie.
yeah, Greg's book really blew
And
up.
Greg's book, yeah. I mean, I think James Franco helped with both of those things.
Yeah, we knew about it before Franco was even going to make that movie.
Yeah.
Like we were fans.
We were totally invested. We read Greg's book and we were like, that this is.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie, I just love it. It's so much fun. It's so schlocky.
Yeah.
It's just a great time. And especially if you're watching it with a group of people and you're playing like a drinking game or something, it's just that much more fun. So I love it.
Yeah. So, well, this is the end of our Turkey Fest.
End of our Turkey
This is your last. This is the last movie we're doing this year in the Turkey Fest. So we've watched 5 movies, and we've ranked the other 5 in the last couple episodes. We kept ranking them.
Yep.
This is number 1, right?
This is absolutely number 1.
This one beats Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Absolutely beats Hard Ticket to Hawaii. But Hard Ticket is number 2.
Yep.
So yeah, it's what I said before,
agree with
how I ranked it. But yeah, this is number 1.
Yeah.
1000%. It's just, it never gets old. It's one of those movies you could put on in, you know.
I think it's like comfort food. I actually
It
love
is.
putting it on in the background sometimes.
Yeah.
If I'm doing like art, like crafts, or if I'm doing something and I'm
Yeah.
making something and I put something on the background to listen to, I usually jump to Plan 9.
Yeah, it's always like we sit and we just quote this movie and we can literally like, you know, line for line.
Which is so funny because we butchered it in the explanation, the whole rundown here in this episode. We're really butchering it.
Yeah, you know, because it's like we just so many times we've seen this movie, and it at this point now everything just runs together for me.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. Yeah, there's so many scenes I know we did out of order, and it's like crazy.
We probably
because-
did a lot of it out of order, but you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, we've seen it so many times, like it's literally part of my brain cells, and but I can't remember, you know, every bit of, you know, for shot of what order everything goes in when I've seen it that many times. I should, but I just don't. Like, my mind is mush at this point. But I mean, I still love this movie. I love it.
All right. So yeah, I guess that's it. Is there any other trivia or anything you wanted to add, or?
I wonder if the makeup artist was actually colorblind.
Well, that's funny. The makeup artist, I believe, did not want any credit because him and Edward got in a fight, and I think the second person who worked on the set actually got the credit.
Okay.
As far as I think I've read.
Well, Edward wrote this in less than 2 weeks, and
Oh yeah.
it definitely shows. That's it. I mean, he just wanted to make an epic film on a small budget. He had more ideas that were super duper expensive, but he just couldn't pull them off because he had no money.
A fun fact too is I believe the co-pilot of the airplane was a friend, and he just so happened to have his friend staying in his place and using his couch, and the head alien, the commander, the boss of the aliens, he was one of the people staying on the couch, and that's how they met. And he just says, "I got some friends. You want me to bring them for the movie?" And he's like, "Yep." So he brought two friends. I believe one of the cops, the airplane co-pilot, and the head alien, who is kind of known for being played as Bill Murray in the Tim Burton movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's true about his story about him wanting to get a sex change in Mexico and not being able to. That is all true.
Oh, wow.
But he was sleeping on his friend's couch, and that's how he got the role in this movie. There's some really interesting stuff behind the scenes of this. Is crazy. It is one of those movies. There's so many other movies I wish would get movies made about the making of. And I'm so happy that Tim Burton did what he did with this and made a movie about this because it's so fascinating. The whole story behind it is fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's so good. Same thing with The Room with Tom Wiseau. There's so many others that haven't gotten that treatment that deserve it.
I know. Well, people do love The Room. I mean, it has a huge following.
We discussed it doing it this month, but we decided not to.
Yeah, because it's too... I feel like everybody does it, you know?
Plan 9 is like that, too. I think the ones we've kind of picked kind of are somewhat.
Yeah. Except you're out of left field.
My Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive is like...
I wanted to do a wild card.
Out of left field. But, yeah, I think that this was fun this month. I had a good time doing the turkeys. But I will always say that Plan 9 is one of my all-time favorite good, bad movies. Love it.
All right. So that's the end of Turkey Fest 2022. Yeah. We're thankful for bad movies. And we're thankful for our listeners. We love you all. Have a good one.
You see? Your stupid minds. Stupid! That's all I'm taking from you. Get back here, you jerk!
My friend, you have heard this incident based on recorded testimony. Can you prove it shouldn't have happened? Perhaps on your drive home, someone will pass you on the street, and you will never know it, but they will be tired podcasters from this very episode. Many scientists believe that other tired podcasters could be watching us at this very moment. We once laughed at the Godsend, The House on the Bayou, Zombie 3, and even The Munsters. And now some of us laugh at this very recording. God help us in the future.